with Clayton Young. He's the number 2 seed, fastest time at the Olympic Marathon Trials, 2:08 flat at this past year's Chicago Marathon. Clayton was an NCAA 10,000 meter champion at Brigham Young in 2019, and then he had not a great start to the marathon. 2:29 at the Olympic Trials 4 years ago, and a 2:16 in Chicago in 2021, a 2:11 in 2022, and 2023, thanks really quick for Clayton. He was the USATF champion at 8K, 20K, and then he hit the Olympic standard. All the other marathoners in America, thank you, along with his training partner, Conner Mantz, as they both went under the 2:08:30 standard in Chicago. Clayton, thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on briefly. And thanks for painting my story a little bit. It's had its ups and downs, but we're trending in the right direction now.
What happened from, 2019 you're an NCAA champion, and then you sort of fell off the radar, and then last year I'm like, wait, he's sticking with Conner Mantz in a lot of these things, and then you were right behind him in Chicago. So sort of take us through that a little bit.
Yeah, I like you said, in 2019, I had a fantastic senior year and propelled me into the pro career of being a professional runner. And, things were looking good, but honestly, I probably jumped to the marathon and to those longer distances a little bit too soon and should have stuck to the track. And 2020, the Olympic trials was my debut marathon. I'd only been training 3 weeks. I'd had some injuries leading into that build, but I figured that the experience was going to just pay off in 4 years. And so I decided still to run it. So I ran 15 miles with a good friend of mine, and then really just like packed it in the last 10 miles or so. And but I think I will play on that experience come the trials here in 10 days or so. But yeah, I think things really started to click this last year. After my knee surgery, I had knee surgery in February, probably the lowest part of, my career and the sport in general for me. I just couldn't figure it out. I ultimately opted to get knee surgery, but, I think having it all taken away just really invigorated me and fired me up to really just enjoy every run, every workout, every lift, even just being with the boys out on a run every day. Like I just soaked it all up after that. And there were zero expectations of me coming back. When my first race back really was the US 8K champs. And I knew I was fit and I was fast after training with Conner as he got ready for the 10K track champs. And so I just decided to swing for the fences and kind of had a breakthrough starting with the 8K champs, and then the ball just kept rolling. Obviously, Conner's been a big, big part of my comeback, training with him, having that confidence day in and day out, training with him. I can't hang every day. I can't hang most days, but the days I do hang, it brings a lot of confidence. And so I've had to kind of strike a balance of, not comparing myself too much to him, but being grateful for the days that I can hang with him. And I think we work well together and we keep each other balanced and focused, and we're looking better than ever going into the trials.
Now, for a lot of the time, you can train with him and race against each other, and it's not career defining, I guess, if one of you guys beats the other. Like in Chicago, you both hit the standard, so you're both very happy, you both get personal best. But the Olympic Trials Marathon, only 3 people make the team. It could be you're battling it out for the third spot. Like, what does that enter your mind at all when you're doing these workouts? That hey, actually, he is going to be someone I'm going to have to beat or might have to beat in Orlando.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think we do think about that, especially in the later stages of every workout. We're visualizing, we're preparing, we're looking for, the little edge that we can gain to get ready for the race and to beat one another. We're very competitive athletes. There's no doubt about it. And I think we kind of had a good trial run at the US 20K champs. At the US 20K champs, we went 1-2. And, I was feeling better than Conner towards the end of that race. And we ultimately decided to finish together. And I think that really kind of sparked some, competitiveness in each of us that realized, okay, that was fun that one time. But, if it really comes down to it, at any other race from here on out, we're going to go for it. We're going to race to the line. And so I think, honestly, Conner and I's best race will be working together and keying off each other for the first 24, 25 miles. Like, I think that is in both of our best interests. But, as we round that corner with 1,000 meters to go, as we head into the home stretch, I think it's going to be every man for himself. And we both know that and we both realize that. And so as long as that expectation is there, I think we're fine. And there's not going to be any hiccups here on out with our training. And, really a win for Conner is a win for me and vice versa. Like there's just so much confidence that comes from watching a teammate succeed and knowing that you've done the same training and the same workouts and that you can stick with him and roll with him. And so I will be, honestly, I will be the most happy guy if Conner wins the trials. And I pray and I hope that I'm coming in right behind him. 14 seconds. If the gap between him and I is 14 seconds, like it was in Chicago, I'll take that hands down. 1-2 would be our goal, and especially with that third spot kind of being unknown, I think we want to take this thing and go 1-2. That would be ideal for us.
Yeah, you said sort of in workouts you can't hang with Conner at the all the time, and like a workout was posted today on this YouTube channel. We'll link to it. Track All Access. You guys did 4x3 mile, and like the last 3 mile, Conner was 15 seconds ahead of you.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing to me is you can train with him, get dropped. You were 13, 14 seconds behind him in the Chicago Marathon. Like, does that give you there's two different ways to like skin a cat, obviously. Does that give you, is it hard to well, it doesn't seem hard because, you can get beaten in the workouts and you're right there with him in the race. Like, does that give you confidence? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's two things that I think of. Like one, Conner and I's approach to workouts is a little different. He's a little more aggressive than me. Like I think he would admit that. Like coach will give us paces. You probably saw it in the workout. Coach gave us paces, and Conner was going 5 seconds faster per mile. Like it happened in a workout last week. We were doing an 8-mile PMP, predicted marathon pace on a tempo run, 8-mile tempo run. And, we wanted to go 4:45s and we ended up going 4:40s. Like Conner just is a very aggressive workout warrior. And that's what makes him so good. Like that is, he is grinding in practice as hard as he is on race day, as you've seen it on his face. And so I think I have a little bit more of a conservative approach. I still don't like to be dropped. I still don't like to be, and I'm still very competitive, but I think I'm a little bit more okay with, that was already a phenomenal workout. It was the best workout. It was better than my Chicago 4x3 mile session. Like I was just very, I don't want to say content, but happy with where we were at. And I got dropped. And if I can look at it and compare, October Clayton to January Clayton and just see that I'm, 15, 20 seconds faster per rep, like I'll take it. Like that's okay. And so that's just a difference in Conner and I. Like he's a workout king, and it really definitely helps him with races. And then the other thing I think about is like, when it comes to races, I think there's like, people translate different from workouts to races. And I feel like, Conner might be beating me in the workout, but I might be beating him in nutrition or in sauna or in sleep or in the weight room. Like there's so many other factors that people aren't seeing, that Conner would give me the nod to, where I'm pulling him through different sessions in our day, whether that's in the sauna or in the weight room or kind of some other things I listed. And so, I really feel like I can make up the gap in other ways, and I'm slowly closing that gap. And I hope, I try not to always defer to Conner, and just think that he'll always beat me. But, like I said previously, like there's no better person that there's nobody more deserving than Conner. He works so hard for it, and his success is my success.
Makes sense. Wait, how can you beat someone in the sauna? The other things I get, but you said something in the sauna. Is the sauna more intense? I mean, you guys are getting heat acclimated, but like, is there a competitive aspect to the sauna? That's a new one for me.
Yeah, it's just like a prescribed workout is a prescribed sauna session. And really it's self-prescribed, right? Like Coach Eystone has no idea what we're doing in the sauna. He just knows that we're doing it. And, but yeah, we're like, it's just how long are you staying in the sauna essentially? Or how long are you staying on the top row of the sauna? Or, we were in a sauna in Orlando and it just wasn't quite hot enough. And so we started standing in the sauna because, heat rises, and who's standing longer in the sauna. And and it's not competitive like that. Like I don't want to make this like that's what like we're staring each other down in a sauna, but just little things like that. Conner and I I just am better in the sauna than Conner is, and so I stay longer in the sauna than Conner, and that's just the name of the game. But that's one of the reasons probably why I won the 2019 NCAA championships in Austin, Texas, was because of my heat acclimatization. A 89 degrees, 100% humidity, like my ability to adapt was just on point that day. And I know I can do that again for Orlando. So that's what I mean. Like there's same thing in a weight room. Like guys are putting on different weight, guys are moving different weight at different speeds. It's just different.
I was going to ask if you were worried about the heat, but if you won the NCAA 10K in Austin, man, the heat is right up your alley, right?
It is. Yeah, I think a lot of people ask me, what did I think about the start time and the change of the start time? And since day one, I was kind of like, I'm staying out of this. Like, it's gonna be hot or not on the day, whether it's 10 a.m. or noon. And honestly, kind of like I said, like I've always performed well in the heat and humidity, even on these road racing circuits out on the East Coast when it's, like talk about a Falmouth 7-mile road race when it's 90 degrees on the coast. Like those are the races where you can find out whether you're really good in the heat and humidity. And I've always done kind of okay. And so, yeah, my confidence going into Orlando, especially with the prep that I've done, even more so for the heat and humidity, is fantastic.
And is there science behind like just sitting in a sauna? I mean, you're not working out, right? Like, is there science that shows that helps you even when you're working out?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's tons of science on it. And it really depends on what you're targeting. You can recovery, like if you, there's adaptations for heat acclimatization. So, increasing blood plasma volume and increasing your heat shock proteins. And that's specific to heat acclimatization. But then there's also tons of other recovery benefits like just blood flow in general, an increased heart rate. Like my heart rate will get up into the 130s, and you can essentially count that as a double, right? Like if you're in a sauna for 30 minutes, like you're essentially running another workout. I mean, it's an easy workout, but just more blood flow increases recovery. There's also some natural, like EPO gains that are manifest when you do sauna consistently. And so if you can stimulate your body to produce natural EPO, I mean, of course you'd want that, right? To be able to increase your red blood cell count and things like that. So yeah, sauna has become a huge part of my training, whether it's heat acclimatization or not. And even just like bulletproofing your immune system. Like I have so much more confidence these next couple of weeks because I've built up an incredibly strong immune system just by being in the sauna. I have this approach now of like, okay, don't get sick, but instead it's like, whatever comes, my immune system is going to handle it. And I'm not as afraid of getting ill because of all the preparation I've done.
Wish I'd done it back in the day now. I did the
Yeah.
high-low stuff, but natural EPO, it's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
But before we got started, John was sort of asking you about your workouts now between now and the trials. I think people would like to hear that if you wouldn't mind sharing. I think it's like everybody, I mean, even the recreational marathoner worries like, oh, what should they do for the taper, that sort of stuff. So could you talk us through those workouts?
Yeah. Taper is a tough beast, even for a pro. Like I think, there's a million ways to do it. And it really comes on, it really like tests your confidence in your training. It really tests that, you don't have to prove yourself over these next 2 weeks. You've already done the work. That's really the key to a good taper, is just knowing that you've already done the work and now you're just checking the boxes more or less all the way in. So the workouts, we did 2x4 mile yesterday at just faster than marathon pace. And that was a good session. Best session, 2x4 mile session I ever done. And now we're kind of at the tipping point. I always say about 10 days out from a race or from a marathon is where, you kind of get diminishing returns. Like I feel like adaptation is about 10 days. So on Thursday is kind of our last real hard session. We'll do 8x800 and we'll start off at probably about 208 to 210 up here at 4,500 feet of elevation. And we'll get down to probably 204 by the end, and we'll take about 2 minutes rest, lap jog. And that's 8x800. And then on Saturday, we'll do some bottle practice for our last long run, more or less. It'll just be 12, 13 miles at an honest 6 flat pace, nothing crazy, no pickups. And then on Tuesday, we'll be doing our traditional 4x mile on the track. And that's usually right at or just faster than marathon pace. And that's more to just dial in marathon pace. And we'll also practice bottles. And so we'll put bottles and we'll be grabbing bottles every mile and testing and practicing holding those bottles for as long as possible and getting our gut used to the fluids. And then Thursday next week, 2 days out from the race, we'll probably do a couple 400s, maybe a 200, but nothing aggressive. And the mileage, I'll say, last week I hit 100 miles. And then this week I'll hit between 70 and 80. And then next week I'll hit 40 to 50 going in to the race. And so it's just, usually your body feels like garbage and you feel out of whack and you're missing all your endorphins, but you just got to trust it and hope that you'll feel good on race day, and you will.
And when you talk about marathon pace, is that adjusted for altitude, or is that the actual pace you would try to run at a sea level marathon?
We don't adjust for altitude up here. Just like I was kind of going back to what Conner, like I said, what Conner's like. Conner is very aggressive. So even, marathon pace is still always an unknown. I experienced this a lot before Chicago, especially because of my injury and my coming back. Like I had no idea really what my marathon pace really should be going into Chicago. And it wasn't until a couple days before that I committed to that 208 flat. Like it's still variable throughout training. Like as you kind of got to find marathon pace rather than go out at marathon pace in your workouts, right? And so most of my build for Chicago, I was targeting that 451 to 453 pace, which is about 207 to 208 marathon, and that was the pace I was targeting in workouts. But now we're talking about 448 pace per mile is usually what we're targeting, which is a little aggressive, which will make Orlando hopefully feel a little more comfortable. But that's what we're targeting here at altitude. When we did that marathon pace workout, that 8 mile tempo down in Orlando last week, we averaged 438, 439. And, that was supposed to be a marathon pace workout. Obviously, we're probably 5 seconds fast, 10 seconds fast, right?
No, we need some, what is that, 205, 204? You guys will be there shortly.
Yeah.
What would it mean to you to make the Olympic team?
Oh, man. It's funny, we train out here with Jared Ward, and having heard more and more about his experience in Rio and how heartbreaking it was to miss the team in 2020, we often joke, who would be more excited to make the Olympic team, Jared Ward or me? And, I think it goes without saying that Jared Ward would be more excited just because he knows how special that was and how hard it was in 2020. And that has made my desire to make the team so much more, right? Like I just, being surrounded by Jared, by Coach Eyestone, 3-time Olympian, like it would mean the world, right? Like it's what I've dreamed about for a long time. And I will, and even more so, like to make it side by side with one of my teammates would just be, it'd be incredible. So, everything.
Yeah, getting a little emotional talking about it is making me.
You got me. I wasn't expecting that, and I just am reflecting on even just this bill, everybody that's been in my corner, it's unreal how many people have. I've had a lot of sacrifice, but man, there's been so many others that have helped me to get to this point. And I don't take that as pressure. I have to make the Olympic team for them because they've sacrificed so much. But, I'm very careful about that, being almost selfish in my endeavor, just to protect my mental state. But there is something special about running for something beyond yourself. And I really find that motivating those that last 10K.
That's great. People love the Olympics.
Yeah.
Runners, we love it for our own reasons, but everybody gets behind it. And Let'sRun.com wouldn't exist without the Olympic marathon trials. That's why it started. So
it's so true. And I think it's even more special just knowing how condensed this season of fitness has been. If you think about how, I was seriously sidelined a year ago. February is when I got my knee surgery, late February. So to have all of this happen in just a year's time just makes it that much more real and emotional to me that, yeah, it's just incredible.
No, timing's a huge thing with the Olympics because you'll see great athletes who they get injured at the wrong time and they might miss their best opportunity. And then you have other guys like Jake Riley was in this position 4 years ago where he had been having these surgeries and then suddenly he gets the best stretch of his career right as we're going into an Olympics and he makes the team. So it sounds like the timing's, near perfect for you where you're at in your career.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I couldn't have timed it better. And I've always had some hiccups during the winter builds, like in my college careers and things. But come January to February, I've figured out the bumps, and so this timing is ideal.
Well, we appreciate all this time. Oh, one other question I'm asking people. We have now a better running shoe site on Let's Run. What shoes are you going to be racing in, and what shoe do you like to train in?
Yeah, I'm an ASICS Pro athlete, so I'll be training in the Metaspeed Sky, ASICS Metaspeed Sky, and I'll be using the Paris edition, which is their third generation of the shoe. It's a prototype that they'll be dropping here soon, and it's a great shoe. I've done a lot of biomechanics testing to compare the previous generation to this generation, and it's faster, lighter, better than ever. And I got a lot of confidence in it. It really is a big game changer compared to last trials in 2020. I love that I'll be toeing the line with all the best shoes across all brands, and it's kind of levels the playing field. And but yeah, I've really loved and enjoyed training in the Metaspeed Sky.
What about your just training runs?
Yeah, my go-to training shoe right now is the Gel Nimbus 26. It just dropped, and that's been a fun shoe to test out. Lots of cushion on a shoe, and then yeah, I also really love, they just dropped the Nova Blast 4. The whole Nova Blast series has been great since day one. And so I've trained a lot in the Nova Blast 3, Nova Blast 4. I feel like that's kind of my go-to shoe. And it's the all-around shoe that I like to use. If I always say that if you had to buy one shoe, if you don't want like a super shoe and a trainer, if you just had to buy one shoe that does it all, the Nova Blast is the shoe for you because it's got plenty of cushion for those easy days. But man, is it responsive when you need some turnover. And, there's been a lot of long runs actually out here in Utah where I haven't been able to get in a super shoe because of the snow. It's been really snowy and icy. But ASICS makes a Nova Blast shoe that also has a trail tread. And I've been able to roll 440s, 450s in that shoe, no problem, and feel really confident doing it in the ice and snow. And so that's the shoe that I would say, if you're going to buy one shoe, that's the shoe.
I promise one thing: there'll be no ice or snow in Orlando. So
Absolutely.
we're all in agreement in that, but the rest we look forward to. Really appreciate it, Clayton. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.